What's up, Vintage RC fans? Thank you so much to all the new subscribers who've been following the channel. Sorry I haven't had much time to put new content out there. In the summer I got other hobbies too, so in the winter here in Michigan it is definitely time to get back into some RC projects. So that said, what this video is going to be about is touring car racing. I'd like to take you guys racing and take you through a build of a street weapon and getting that ready to compete against current touring cars at my local track. It's actually in Toledo, so about an hour drive from me, but just going to show you what it's going to take to convert a street weapon to today's battery, motor, and gearing that's going to make it competitive against like Associateds and Xrays and Serpents. I hope anyway. So we'll see. Today's cars, they don't do anything for me. They're all the same. They have batteries down the one side, motor and electrics all down the other side. It's hard to even tell cars apart these days. In this era, they were quite unique. You could definitely tell a street weapon from a TC3, from anything out there. Everybody was pretty unique. So I want to walk you through setting it up, and then this whole video I think we'll get all the way to the track, get the car dialed in at the track, and see how we compete against today's cars. Check it out. Okay, the very first hurdle in running a street weapon today is belts. Every belt that was ever made by Team Losi by now has crumbled and turned to dust. Even if you see one brand new in the package and it looks fine, the moment you get it out and bend it at all, it'll crack and crumble right in your hands. Luckily, there's a guy on eBay, last I saw, still selling a set of these Bando belts, which make it possible to run the car again. He sells them as a set with the rear, the front and side belts, which are the same size. He also sells them for the XX4, which is different because this belt is longer. The rear belt is longer for the four-wheel drive buggy. So stay away from that, but belts are a must to even think about running the street weapon again. The next hurdle to overcome to run a street weapon today is gearing. The street weapon has an internal ratio of 2.3. We're looking for a 3.75 final drive ratio. So the only spur, the smallest spur I should say, available for the weapon naturally from Losi was a 48 pitch 76 tooth spur. Pretty big. Today, to reach with a 21.5 motor to reach a 375 final drive ratio, it's a pretty big pinion and a pretty small spur. How I achieved it was that pinion's a 50 tooth, the spur is an 82. I think you can run anywhere 82 to maybe 88 on the spur and still have room to adjust gear ratio a bit and find that sweet spot of 375. So gearing, this is your answer. Oh, to run these spurs, I'll take this out here. Trinity made an adapter to any standard Robinson type 2-hole spur that you can mount to the standard lay shaft. Without that, it's just not possible. I tried everything with that 76 spur, the factory spur, and just could not get to the ratio and still have the motor touch or have any movement with with that gearing. So a must would be the Trinity adapter here, which I found on eBay as well, but I'm sure they're getting pretty scarce. So that's the gearing hurdle. The final hurdle here will be wheels. Wheels and tires. So RPM made 12mm adapters with new stub axles to be able to run current touring car wheels. Actually, I mean, when these were made, everybody but Losi was using 12mm hex. Losi had their own, these here, which are some type of SAE hex, much smaller than the standard of the time. So to be able to adapt today's wheels with the tires necessary to run the class we're going to run, which is USGT. The USGT class uses, as you can see here on my JRXSR, the Gravity RC tire with the tread. You can buy these on wheels. You can buy them bare and mount them to your own wheel. So either if you have Street Weapon wheels still unmounted, you can buy just the bare Gravity RC tires and mount them to Street Weapon wheels, which I may do. Or you can adapt with an RPM set, if you can still find a set, and use today's touring car wheels on your Street Weapon. So those are the major hurdles, I believe, in running the car today. We're going to be putting, of course, a lipo in it. The lipo fits in pretty nice. We can run it on either side, really. I haven't even decided. I may try and put the servo over here and redo the link to the left side of the vehicle where the servo arm sticks out, instead of that long bar that went all the way to a servo mounted transversely and stand up in the middle of the car. I may try and lay a servo down up here with a link outside and on the back side of the motor. I would think it'd be pretty clean, improve the CG, and be pretty slick if I can do it. Then that way I could move the battery onto this side, just to eliminate all these components. I may have to grind out the raised portions that the servo mount. Yeah, I definitely will, because you can tell the battery is longer than that box will allow. So I would have to grind some things out, maybe even the back wall here. I'm not sure it'll even be possible, but just some things I'm thinking about. So that is hopefully the last hurdle, is laying out the electronics, and let's see what we can come up with. Okay, I've made some good progress since I've filmed last. The driveline is all complete and sealed up. I built new diffs. I have that spur adapter in there, so I've got, as we discussed, a 82 tooth spur in there, and I'm going to run, it looks like a 51 tooth pinion is going to be the right ratio for 21.5 USGT class. I've got the electronics started to lay out here. The servo, what I've done is used JRXS servo mounts. They actually used them on a couple cars. They're just plastic servo mounts. There's a pin locking system. You can see the pin in the gap where the battery tape should go. Then I countersunk a screw hole, then drilled and countersunk screw holes for the front mount. Again, using the Losi, just the plastic mounts that come with the Triple X series and JRXS series cars. Easy to come by. You can use any L-shaped mount really, but that's what I had around. Trying to get the linkage right. The linkage from the top down, there's a bit of an angle to it. I don't know. They don't make these arms any longer, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that just yet. Well, Losi didn't make them any longer, but actually I think it's just a 25 spline. So I could go longer with an aftermarket arm there. I may play around with that. I also don't like the angle I've got here from the servo arm up to the front bell crank. I want that flatter and maybe lower. I know I can get a shorter one of these servo arms, so I'm going to do that. I have the battery double-sided taped in. It shouldn't go anywhere. Nice and flat and low. I could get some strapping tape around the top and around the whole chassis. If it starts wiggling around at the track, I can strap it down even better. But for now, I have lots of double-sided tape. I have a couple of these kits, but the Josh Cyril Trinity Circuit Killer conversion is this is what that rear tower and brace, people who've run the Street Weapon before are probably familiar with that Trinity kit. Just really changes the CG of the car and the roll centers. Cyril himself developed that. Car ran great with that kit on it, so I am definitely going to use that. And I just need to mount the speed controller. We'll go back here. The receiver can either go on the shelf where it was meant to go, or I may try and keep it low and get it way in the back. Keep everything on the chassis. Yeah, it's coming along. That's the latest. Catch you up in a minute. Okay, so here we are in Toledo, Ohio at the Woodland Mall, site of the 1/8 Racers on-road track, which is basically a store in the mall. As you can see, it's an active mall, but this is the on-road carpet track where we're going to run the Street Weapon. Go to the pit area here. There's my pit here. Complete with Street Weapon, ready to go. Alright, here's the heat sheet. Look for us. I'm running USGT. So, car number 4, USGT. Pretty cool. There looks to be a handful, 8 heats today, so probably about an hour around.
On the horn. Dave Barry, Mike, Rich, Chuck, Dave Willie, and Larry.
1 minute 15 seconds. The top drivers are keeping Vogue 1 in first place with a 37 lap 601 flat pace, followed by Dave Barry in second place with a 36 lap 603.4 pace, followed by Larry Gross in third place with a 36 lap 608.2 pace.
Oh, they're coming in at 168. A little on the high side. I think I'm going to try and add 170. I'm trying to add a heat sink to it, but ran pretty well. Pretty cool for the second qualifier. Alright, we're back here on the bench. That was a blast. The reactions were priceless. The young people walk by and say, what is that? And the older folks will walk by and say, is that a street weapon? It was really cool. The car ran awesome. The biggest problem I was having was temperature. So I added a heat sink mid-round that allowed me to gear up a tooth or two. Still on the back straight, I couldn't keep up with the other cars. In the infield, it was hooked and it was perfect. So I made up a lot of time just driving, but ended up qualifying 6th and finished 3rd in the main. So podium finish for the 1998 Losi Street Weapon. That's pretty good. So stay tuned. I'll do another race report on this car maybe, or maybe we'll move on to a new project, but I'm definitely going racing again with this. I've ordered a heatsink motor mount, so if I can get the temperatures down a bit, I can gear up and maybe get that straightaway speed that everyone else has. And with that, I think I could be knocking on first place. So thanks for coming along on the ride, and we'll see you in the next video.